Believe me, 33 years of witchcraft. I ain't gonna lie. I used to kill people. I used to destroy people, turn them crazy. I did a lot of things. If you see me doing stuff that I used to do, people were scared of me. Regular people would be scared of me because we used to sacrifice almost every day, almost either a goat or a couple roosters, or and people don't realize is that when you put your kid with Santa and stuff like that, you're actually doing a sacrifice.
God bless everyone. Today on Supernatural Testimony, we have a guest named Manuel Gandia who used to be a powerful Satanist and warlock. And he is going to share part of his testimony as well as give an eye-opening teaching on the true origins of Christmas. You don't want to miss this, so please watch the entire video and make sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. With that said, I'll let Brother Manuel begin his story.
How you doing today? I'm just going back to my background, so everybody knows where I come from. I was a Christian when I was a kid. I was a Pentecostal, and I backslid around 17 years old, and I got into New Age movement, witchcraft, spiritualism. I got into Palo Mayombe, which is like voodoo, and actually I got in both of them, voodoo and Palo Mayombe. Then I got into Santeria. I got into Babalao. I became a Babalao. I got involved with the African people from Nigeria in the practice Babalao, and I got initiated by African people to become a Babalao. And I got involved around the New Age movement, witchcraft, basically, and a lot of meditation. And I did a lot of I used to move things. I used to move things with my mind and stuff, and prepare candle burning in witchcraft. Most of the Christmas stuff comes from what I see. It comes from more into a deeper meaning of either Catholic and witchcraft. It's got a little bit of both. First, because one of the characters in Christmas, besides Santa, is Krampus, which over here they don't put him in the picture. It's a demon. Actually, it's a demon. It's a demon that it looks real demonic. You go to Germany right now, and right now you go and get videos on YouTube, and you can see Germany, New Zealand, those areas over there that do practice Christmas, but what the main character that they practice is more of a Krampus, and everybody dress up like a demon or Krampus, and they go to the streets everywhere, and they do like a parade to everybody, and they scare little kids and stuff, but they don't put Santa over there. They just use Krampus, which Santa used to travel with Krampus all over the place, and when kids were bad, then Krampus would torment and hit him, and punish the kids that were bad. Another thing, if you look at Krampus, it's actually like Pam, which is like a man over there on top with horns, and the legs are animals. Going back to Christmas, when you look at the entity of Krampus, he looks exactly like Pam, and Pam represents Satan. Why it represents Satan? Well, Satan used to had a flu, which the Bible said that he had a flu, and he used to go around in the streets and whistle his music, and everybody will follow him, especially kids. That's why from Pan came the word panic, because everybody was scared. Pan, because you had if he got mad at you, he would torment you. So that's why from Pan came out panic. Another thing is that from Pan came Peter Pan. That he does the same thing, but he's a good kid. But he just putting Satan in a very good way, hiding it behind Peter Pan. He flies, he got magic, he got power. So Peter Pan is part of Pan. Now, I believe that Pan represents Krampus, which is the demon that used to travel with Satan, which they took it out over here. In mythology, Krampus was Santa's brother. I believe that Krampus is actually a demon, and Santa is Satan. And they asked me, how can you prove that? I'll tell you right now. First of all, the Catholic, it comes out from the Saint Nicholas. And you say, oh, okay, Nicholas is a saint. He was a guy who used to travel and be happy, be good with everybody. But what people don't know is that Santa, there's a couple of hints that make you, believe this. First of all, if you take the Santa, take the N and put it on the end, is Satan. So Santa put the T back here and the N at the end is Satan. Another thing is he got powers. He traveled. He knows everything. He knows every kid. And people wrong know that in the old English, in the back years, hundreds of years, while back, Satan was called Old Nick. That was his name. And what a coincidence that Santa used to be Nicolas, the Saint Nicolas. So in the old times, Satan was called Old Nick. And the way to call him, and this is where everybody's going to blow up. Everybody in the old time, they used to call him by saying ho, ho, ho 3 times. Witchcraft and voodoo and Santeria and Ifa, every time that you do like incantation or when you call a name of an entity, you got to say it 3 times. So in the old times, and you could look it up at the Oxford Dictionary, O Nicolas, or you could Google it. It says O Nicolas, O Nick. That's how you call it. They used to, when you look at the reference, it says the nickname for Satan, O Nick. What else? He goes through everybody. The world had put Santa like everything's good, and he's not. All this stuff is a proof that he's actually Satan. Another thing is that the Christmas tree was started like in 18 something, but there is evidence that in the old times they used to put the tree used to represent Tammuz. It used to represent Tammuz, and it represents the private part of a man. And when you put all the stuff that has gold and everything, and everybody put a star in the tar, anybody think it's a star, but it's actually that star. If you look at it and you search, it represents the sun. So actually, you celebrating the sun in Christmas time. First of all, the Catholic Church used to have a Saturnia. They used to celebrate Saturnia. It was a 12-day celebration. That's why in Christmas it said 12 days of Christmas. And after a while, they reduced it to 7 days, 3 days, and then 1 day. But the Catholic people are saying, how are we gonna get rid of this celebration? Because they used to, in all those days, they used to sacrifice kids. That used to do all kinds of evil stuff, walk around naked, do sex in the streets, and it was all right. That's what the Greeks used to do. The Romans started doing all this celebration too, and the Catholic Church said, well, how can we get rid of this? So what they decided to do is change the date of everybody didn't know really when Jesus was born. There's no proof. The only thing that a lot of people believe is the day of tabernacle, because God tabernacle with men, and they had little houses, and it's believed that will be the day that Jesus was born, but it's not sure yet. So the Catholic Church took that day and put it close to the 25th, where the sun god was worshipped. And as time passed by, the Catholic Church forced, and a lot of people forced to worship the sun. So on that day, a lot of saints, a lot of gods, mythology gods like Saturn, a lot of gods were born. And on top of that, they do celebration. Witchcraft do celebration on the 25th. They worship. They usually sacrifice a person, not normally a kid, but mostly a person. And in that day, they do candle burnings and sacrifices, and they worship the sun. That's the sun god right there on that day. And the Catholic at that so that everybody will come to church, and they made that. I think I don't know if it's that day, but they do celebrate a lot of saints that day because it was the creation of all all the gods that day on the 25th, where Zeus was the father of all the gods, which actually was the chief of all the gods. And from Zeus came out all the entities that you see around. And then they got, or Nicola was, a saint in the Catholic religion. And he was skinny. He wasn't really fat. That fat thing, I don't know where they get that from. But the original Santa is real skinny. And it was believed that he would turn himself, because he got powers. They say he had power. And they say, how can a fat guy go through a chimney? Because it was believed that when he came to the houses, he would turn small, go in the chimney, drop the presents that were small too, and turn them big, and he will get the cookie and the milk, and that's why it came out. And everybody, will give the cookie and the cookies in the chimney with milk for the Santa. But that comes out even farther more. They believe that the spirits. I mean, it was a belief that and that day too they celebrate the ancestors of family, and that's where they started putting the cookies. Putting cookies or food, complete food, or they would do a 12. They would put 12 plates with food. If the family was four, they will eat four plates, and the rest will be for Santa and the spirits. They will leave it in the house. Oh, well, just one plate for Santa or the spirits, and they will believe that when they go to sleep, the spirits will come and eat the food, or accept the food, sacrifice or the food. From that came out the cookies and the milk for Santa. What else? There's so many. He's helpers,
The elves.
the elves.
Mhm.
It's actually when you go back and back, they're demons. They're just demons. They're all demons, really.
Yeah, I actually had a sister from my church who told me that in Mexico, where she's from as well, they would often see elves, and that's what she said. They were just little demons that could shapeshift into little elves to try to cause destruction around people's property and to scare children. And I've heard this from several different people in their testimonies that basically they are just demons. And it
Yeah,
makes me sad for all those who buy, for example, that toy Elf on the Shelf. In offices, those were very popular during Christmas. And you just hang that little elf doll in your shelf, not knowing that you're actually putting like a little demon on there that could be giving legal rights for demonic spirits to maybe visit your office or your house, wherever you keep that little elf.
yeah. You keep it in. When you keep something like that in your house, or even Santa Claus, how they have pictures of Santa Claus or image that they buy and they say, "Oh, this is for next year." You're having a demon in your house. That's why you see so many Christians with very cold. They don't grow spiritually. Because and they have problems, or and they might have problems or divorce or whatever, or the kids grow up with demons around and they're seeing demons. I mean, in my house we had all that Christmas stuff, and I'll be honest to you, I used to from 4 years old, I used to dream that there was a hand coming out from the closet. But I mean, every night I was dreaming that, every night. So, I guess that stayed with me, and look at that. I became a witch, I became a warlock. But I mean, besides that I know of, I mean, San Nicolas, that's the real name, and San Nick, Nick, is actually, like I told you, when you Google it, is reference to the name of Satan. And that's how you used to call him. Ho, ho, ho. You used to call him like that. I mean, if you want to celebrate it, go ahead. If you want to be with demons, go ahead. But I really don't believe that Christians should celebrate Christmas. It's very satanic. It's very evil. The tree represents an idol. And they used to burn a log so that it would get rid of the evil spirits. Evil spirits. That's why they used to put a big log in the fireplace. So that actually that day it's actually to get rid of evil spirits, just like Halloween when they put in Halloween they put the pumpkin in the door. That's to scare evil spirits. And they used to, in the old past, they used to put plates in the front of the doors for the spirits too, for the family, from evil spirits, to get rid of evil spirits. So actually, in the old time, Christmas used to be just to get rid of the old spirits, evil spirits. That's very witchcraft, that's very spiritual, espiritista, from spiritualism to warlock, evil spirits. That's what the day Christmas is for. The Wicca do it like that on that day to get rid of the old stuff too, all the old stuff from that year, and welcome the new stuff and the good stuff from the next year. Which everybody knows I mean, if you're a Christian, God is in control of everything. You don't need all that. That you're working with demons when you do that, and people don't realize that. Believe me, 33 years of witchcraft. I ain't gonna lie. I used to kill people. I used to destroy people, turn them crazy, get people out of prison. I did a lot of things, I mean, a lot of stuff. And if you see me doing stuff that I used to do, people were scaring me. Regular people would be scaring me because we used to sacrifice every day, almost every day, but at least every week, 2 or 3 times a week, either a goat or a couple roosters or pigeons and chickens and stuff. And it was just, normal. Sometimes you gotta sacrifice a lot. I did one time a sacrifice that cost me $500, and I don't know how many guinea hens, chicken, roosters, and I don't know how many doves, and I don't, and a ram, and all that blood was right in my head. So I was full of blood. And believe me, people don't realize how deep I was. A lot of people used to get scared of me. A lot of people used to get scared of me. But I thank God that I got out of that. He got me out of that. People don't realize that path right to hell. And if you're celebrating Christmas, I'll be honest with you, I don't think God is gonna be approve of that. And if you know the truth right now, and you listen to this video, and you keep doing it, it's up to you with God. Because when you, every time I think of when you're in front of God, why are you gonna tell him? What are you going to tell them? Oh, no, no. Oh, I just, I knew, but I just did it anyway because I don't worship demons. Yeah, but you're still celebrating a religion that is not something about a religion that is not yours. It's a pagan religion. So I'll leave it there to you guys.
Amen. And I was going to ask you, brother, when you were part of that dark world, when you were involved in witchcraft and Satanism and all those different things, did you know back then about the pagan origins of Christmas? Did your mentors ever mention where Christmas came from?
No,
Or did you learn about it later on when you became a Christian?
after I became a Christian, I knew about it, but before, no, because in Santeria or Ifa, they don't get into that. They don't get into that. That's more of a Wicca. But when I was in Wicca, I was like probably like a year. I didn't get. I got deep in it, but I don't. They didn't. I didn't get that to that area. There's a lot of areas in witchcraft, and I didn't get into more into the history. It's not like now that we had internet. In that time, there was no internet at all, and there was no YouTube. So you see a lot of documentary right now that about Christmas and stuff, and they explain to you all the stuff about witchcraft being involved in that. But in the old times, there's a lot of books. You had to get into a lot of books, and I only got into the magical part. I wanted to get into the dark part, just to kill people, to destroy people. Because when I was a Christian around 16 years old, I started backsliding, getting cold and cold. So I used to get very angry. And for me to kill somebody, literally, that's why I started practicing getting into the occult. Because I said, I'm not going to kill them with my hand because I'm going to go to prison. So what I did was I got into witchcraft to kill people, which I did. I did kill people. Either that or I turned them crazy or mad. I had a neighbor that I had a problem with him, and I throw some powder, just some powder in the door. That's it. Prepare for me. And that guy came out crazy going out. I hear one night I was listening to a guy, somebody screaming all over the whole street. Ah! Ah! And I came out and I like, wow, it's the guy. And he said, it's your fault. This is your fault. This is your fault. He's going crazy. I mean, nuts all over the whole streets. I'm like, wow, look at that. The powder that I did, look, turned crazy.
Because of that powder, the magic spell that you place using a powder that I guess when he opened the door, he breathed in that powder and that
No.
affected him.
He just step on it. That's it.
You just step on the powder.
That's it. That's all you got to do. Step on. If you're not a Christian, step on that. That's it. You're done. Or either that, or if you're cold Christian, you're gonna get bit. You're gonna get hit.
Did they also do rituals where you gave people certain foods to help with your magic spells? Did you ever do? Yeah.
You do a spell, and that's it. That's the worst one of all because it goes inside your body. That's it. You're done. I mean, unless you're a Christian, a real Christian. If you're just playing around a guy and you kind of cold, you're done there too. And unless maybe God has mercy, and help you.
And about that, brother, I also want to mention, I mentioned all these things for all the brothers and sisters who are watching so they can be careful about who they accept gifts from, different presents. And also not just that, but I want to share this testimony of this lady from my church. She moved away from her apartment and one of her neighbors gave her like a blanket. He said, here, this is a gift for you, a going away present. And she was like, oh, that's so sweet of you. She took the blanket, and later on, when she got home, she became attacked by a lot of demons. She began to pray, and God showed her it was that blanket. A regular-looking blanket. There was no occult symbols, no demons, no monsters, just a regular blanket. That person had done some witchcraft to attach demons to that object. So you got to be very careful to all the brothers and sisters watching who you're taking gifts from. Who is that person?
We used to prepare flowers, roses, just roses, red roses or white roses, and prepare in a way that when the person would grab it or even, get smell on it or whatever, just look at it, either kill that person. We used to prepare red roses for love spell.
For love spells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we used to prepare the roses. And it's just prayers. Either that or powder that you put on it, but you could do a lot of prayers, like you grab it and you just start praying and praying and praying. And certain prayers that there are for that kind of stuff and asking the entity to grab for whoever it is in the name of that person, blah, 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 blah. And you got to get concentrated and getting, I don't want to talk because then I'm showing people how to do stuff. But that's how they used to prepare stuff real hard. And when they felt that it was prepared, because they would ask, is it ready? Yes. And the entity would say yes, and boom, send it. I used to grab, if I grab like a clothes from somebody, from a girl, just a clothes, and then clothes of the person who used to want to, tie that person up in love. I will go to the cemetery, get a couple of spirits from the cemetery, from different people, and prepare that up. There's a way to get spirits out of the cemetery. And you put it in, of course, the demons. Everybody think it's, but it's just demons. And then you grab that, put it in there and prepare with woods, different woods that attract people, and feed him whatever that he asked. Actually, I will feed him. If it was a guy trying to get a girl, I will feed him roosters or male animals. Why? Because then it's a male trying to grab a woman. If it was a guy, then I will hens. Hens or a female sheep, stuff like that, and then feed whatever they ask and put them in a plant, under a plant, just a regular plant, but it's right under the plant. And I will give it to him and just put him in your house. and the person will come to the person on a plant, a regular plant, like a plant that you have right behind you. That's it.
But like you said, these spells would not work against a Christian who was praying, fasting, reading the Bible. Those spells would not be able to touch those people, right? Who are really in deep with God?
Yes. I mean, there's still ways that I know how to get into Christians, but I keep that to myself. There's some ways that could, that I know personally, but I learned that later when I became more of a Christian, but I just keep that to myself because it's heavy.
Amen. But yes, yeah, very interesting topics that I also wanted to add in here. Although the main focus is, to expose Christmas. But going back to that, I do want to mention some other things that I found out about this holiday. When I was researching this topic for my book, I did a lot of research for several weeks on Christmas and found, even on the churchofsatan.com, even Satanists themselves admitted on that website the true pagan origins of Christmas. On that website, churchofsatan.com/fact holidays, it talks about how Christians actually stole Christmas from the pagans, how Santa Claus represents indulgence, how Santa Claus is a mixture of Dionysus and Silenus from the Roman and Greek myths, how the holiday originated from Saturnalia, the festival of Saturnalia, where they would do all kinds of child sacrifices and orgies and all these horrible things. And it just, when I read that, that's what really cemented it for me. When I read that on the churchofsatan.com, they actually wrote this on their website. We will often be the only ones who know where the traditions really come from. And so they're mocking our ignorance. They're sort of, making fun of us because they know the truth and the majority of the people do not. And so we really have to do our homework and really find out what it is that we're celebrating. Almost all of these holidays that we celebrate come from pagan origins. And I also read this book, 4,000 Years of Christmas by Earl W. Count, in which he wrote the following. Mesopotamia is the very ancient mother of civilization. Christmas began there over 4,000 years ago as the festival which renewed the world for another year. The 12 days of Christmas, the bright fires, and probably the Yule log, the giving of presents, the carnivals with their floats, their merry makings and the clownings, the murmurs who sing and play from house to house, the feastings, the church processions with their lights and song, all these and more began there centuries before Christ was born, and they celebrated the arrival of the new year. So there in that book, which is called, again, 4,000 Years of Christmas by Earl W. Count, you can see more about the origins of Christmas. And also, that's how the new year came about.
And I forgot to say that, that was the preparation to start for the celebration for New Year. I'll tell you something too. The Druids came out. A lot of these celebrations come from the Druids too, especially the sacrifices of people and the sacrifices of kids. Druids used to do that a lot. Not every day, but they had days for that celebrations, to sacrifice and stuff like that. And Druids used to do that a lot too, for Christmas time in that time. So Druids has to do a lot too with December 25th. Another thing is Saturn represents Lucifer actually. Kronos used to be an old man, and he used to eat the kids because there was a prophecy that they told him that one of his kids was going to take over and it was going to be more powerful than him. So every time that he had a kid, he would eat his own kids. That's what Kronos.
He would eat his own kids.
He would eat his own kids. So that I forgot to say that too. When you talk, then I start to remember stuff. Kronos used to eat his own kids. Yeah, most of his own kids because he didn't want none of his kids to take over him. And he was an old man. And people don't realize is that when you put your kid with Santa and stuff like that, you're actually doing a sacrifice. Not in the sense of putting it, but in a spiritual way. You're sacrificing your kid to Satan. Because, like I said, old Nick represents the devil. Let me tell you something else. People use the hexagram, especially in Jewish tradition, and they say, "Oh, that's the Star of David." There's no Star of David in the Bible, first of all. And what happened is that the old Hebrew, which is Paleo Hebrew, the D is like that. It's like kind of like this way. So it will be, like a triangle, but bent down. And the other one, and they said that the other triangle going down is another D. But when you turn it upside down, it's not a D anymore. It's something else. It's no more a D. That hexagram come all the way down from Mesopotamia too. All back, older than Israel. Even before Israel became nation. That's a Satan symbol. Even in voodoo, they use that star.
Amen, that's true. And going back to Christmas, I also want to read another section from that book, 4,000 Years of Christmas by Earl W. Count. On page 31, it explains how Saturnalia was the pagan festival that was originally celebrated at the end of December. Saturnalia was used by the pagans to bring back the sun. It was a form of sun worship to honor Nimrod. Page 31 of that book states the following. There were many immigrants into the ranks of the Christians by this time. The church fathers discovered to their alarm that they were also facing an invasion of pagan customs. The habit of Saturnalia was too strong to be left behind. At first, the church forbade it, but in vain. So there we can see that the church tried to stop the Saturnalia festivals, but they were not able to, because people absolutely loved those pagan celebrations. They were too much fun for their flesh. And instead of resisting the paganism, the Catholic Church embraced it. We learned this on page 31, where it says the following. The Church finally succeeded in taking the merriment, the greenery, the lights, and the gifts from Saturn and giving them to the babe of Bethlehem. The pagan Romans became Christians, but the Saturnalia remained. So what do we learn? That Saturnalia was just modified. The church changed a few things to make it more Christian. For example, it took away all the child sacrifices and the orgies because they knew it would be easier in terms of marketing. But you can't take something that is evil and make it good. It's still an abomination in the eyes of God. And there's something else we must realize. Jesus was not born in December. Pagans celebrated the birth of Nimrod during Saturnalia, not the birth of Jesus. Historians calculate that Jesus was actually born either in late September or early October. And about the presents that the wise men brought Jesus, they were not birthday presents. Back in those times, it was customary to bring gifts to a king. And those wise men thought Jesus was the King of Jews. So that's why they brought Jesus presents. Matthew 2, verse 1 through 2 says the following. Wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and have come to worship him. In that Bible verse, we learn it wasn't a birthday party. It was their way of honoring a king. Plus, Jesus was not a newborn baby when the wise men found him. Jesus was about 2 years old, according to most scholars. So that's another lie that has been told to us about Christmas. And there's something else we have to discuss. The celebration of birthdays. That is actually another pagan custom. After doing a lot of research, I discovered that Jesus, his disciples, and early Christians did not celebrate birthdays because they knew where birthdays came from. And we can find out too by just doing a quick Google search on the origins of birthdays. All that information is easily available on the internet. That's how I found the book titled The Lore of Birthdays, which was written by Ralph and Adeline Linton. The book was published in 1952 and exposes the true origins of birthdays. Here's a quote from it. Originally, the idea of birthday greetings and wishes for happiness was rooted in magic. The working of spells for good and evil is the chief usage of witchcraft. And you might be asking, what about the presents that people give each other during birthdays? Well, the book says this about presents. The giving of birthday presents is a custom associated with the offering of sacrifices to pagan gods on their birthdays. The exchange of presents is associated with the importance of ingratiating good and evil fairies on their or our own birthdays. And what about the delicious cakes that people eat on birthdays? Well, the book has more bad news. Listen to this. The traditional birthday cake and candles also have their origin in ancient pagan idol worship. The ancients believed that the fire of candles had magical properties. They offered prayers and made wishes to be carried to the gods on the flames of the candles. Thus, we still have the widely practiced birthday custom of making a wish, then blowing out the candles. The Greeks celebrated the birthday of their moon goddess Artemis with cakes adorned with lighted candles. and many scholars say that birthdays actually started in Egypt. The first recorded birthday was the Egyptian king mentioned in Genesis chapter 40. It was around 3000 BC. After God freed Israel from the slavery Egypt had them under, he commanded them to abandon the country's customs and to shun the customs they would find in the promised land of Canaan. Leviticus 18:3 says, "You must not do as they do in Egypt, where you used to live, and you must not do as they do in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you. Do not follow their practices." And the reason God gave him this commandment is because pagan customs, like birthdays and holidays, involved human sacrifices to false gods, which are demons. This makes them an abomination in the eyes of God. And Leviticus chapter 18 states that abominations cause God to visit the iniquity of people, which means to punish them. And if we read Jeremiah 10:2-4, we see that God later commanded the Israelites to avoid worldly customs from heathens because they were worthless. Jeremiah 10:2-4 says the following, "This is what the Lord says, do not learn the ways of the nations or be terrified by the signs in the heavens, though the nations are terrified by them. For the practices of the peoples are worthless. They cut a tree out of the forest, and a craftsman shapes it with his chisel. They adorn it with silver and gold. They fasten it with a hammer and nails so it will not totter." Okay, so here God also references the Christmas trees that pagans love to decorate, the same way people decorate Christmas trees today. But enough about Christmas. Let's get back to the birthdays. And if we need further confirmation about birthdays, we only need to read what Anton LaVey wrote in the Satanic Bible on page 96. Here's a clip. "The highest of all holidays in the Satanic religion is the date of one's own birth. The Satanist feels, why not really be honest? And if you are going to create a God in your image, why not create that God as yourself? Every man is a god if he chooses to recognize himself as one." So the Satanist celebrates his own birthday as the most important holiday of the year. Now, as you can imagine, when I first read this, I was very disturbed. And that is what motivated me to stop celebrating birthdays. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I know this. When a Satanist tells you to do something, don't listen to them. Do the opposite. Because someone who worships the devil will never give you advice that will help you spiritually. On the contrary, they will give you advice that will destroy your relationship with God and prevent you from obeying the Lord's commandments. And yes, it's really shocking that Anton LaVey declared that birthdays are higher than Halloween to a Satanist. This indicates that celebrating birthdays could be more sinful than celebrating Halloween, which I know is going to make some people angry to hear something like this. And believe me, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I just feel led by God to share the information I found, and I ask everyone to please do your own investigations as well. Start researching. Then pray about what you should do. Go to God if you have any doubts. He will guide you. And before I forget, I also want to share my findings on Thanksgiving. And this was found in the book called Celebrations, the Complete Book of American Holidays by Robert J. Myers, which was published in 1972. Here's a little section from that book. "The Pilgrims would have been dismayed had they known of the long and popular history of the harvest festivals, of which their Thanksgiving was only the latest. The harvest festival, with its attendant rites, seems to have spread out of from Egypt, in Syria, and Mesopotamia. The first or the last sheaf of wheat was offered to the Great Mother, Astarte, equivalent to Ishtar and Istar, the Earth Mother of the ancient Semites. To the Phrygians she was Semel, under the name of Semeter. Under the name of Demeter, she was worshipped by the Greeks at the famous Eulenesian Mysteries." And also in the book called Holidays Around the World, written by Joseph Gayer in 1953, he wrote the following: Thanksgiving for the annual harvest is one of the oldest holidays known to mankind. The Romans celebrated their Thanksgiving early in October. The holiday was dedicated to the goddess of harvest, Ceres, and the holiday was called Cerealia. The Christians took over the Roman holiday and it became well established in England, where some of the Roman customs and rituals for this day were observed. So, like I said, we just have to do our homework, and if we dig deep enough, we can find that there are pagan origins for pretty much all of the holidays that we celebrate today. And with that, we're going to finish the video here. A huge thank you to Brother Manuel for everything. He just had a big surgery, so we appreciate his time here with us today. And if you enjoyed this content, please give it a thumbs up and watch my testimonies playlist to watch other interviews I've done. Link in the description and comments. Also, I'm doing a prayer fasting chain during 2024 where I'll be praying and fasting every day for all of your prayer requests. So please take advantage of this and write down your petitions in the comments below. For anybody who wants to join us, I'll leave more information in the pinned comment. And with that said, would you mind leading us in a prayer for all the people who are going to be watching this video?
Yes. Padre, gracias por este día. Thank you for this day. Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything that we have done in our life. Thank you for being alive. Thank you for the health that we have. Thank you for just breathing. Just breathing. Thank you for having love and mercy over us, and so especially my life, what I went through, and you had so much mercy to get me out of that. Thank you for everything, and I ask you that this video help other people, bless other people, touch the heart and the minds of other people, and bring them to you, and open their eyes so that they won't celebrate this holiday anymore. Open their minds, open their heart, touch the people. Everything that we have said, God, it goes right. It will go right into the heart of everybody and go deep into their soul and change their heart to you. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, I ask you this. Amen.